Hi, hello, it's October and I'm talking about Artfight. I recently injured my wrist, ironically while drawing too much, and I have to rest my hand now for multiple weeks. I've never made an Artfight recap video even though I was planning to make one, and I thought I'd missed my chance for this year, but it's really hard for me not to make any art, so I've been thinking a lot about drawing and crafting and stuff. But I've seen multiple art YouTubers make Artfight videos recently, so if they can talk about Artfight months later, I can do. The last few years I had to do a lot of work on my OCs before Artfight even started, but this year I was pretty chill about it. I had a lot of existing characters I made over the year, so I uploaded those and I redecorated my profile, but I didn't have to rush a bunch of new ref sheets right before July starts, which was nice for a change. My goal is always to revenge everyone if possible, but honestly this year I didn't know how many people would attack me. So I decided to prioritize moods. And mainly my goal was just to have fun, because I feel like last year I didn't have as much fun doing Artfight because, I don't know, I was kind of stressed. The first thing I drew this year was a revenge for an attack I got super late last year's Artfight. To be honest, this is not at all my art style, I don't really like how it turned out. But like, by the way, if a drawing I made for you is in here, and I say I don't like it, please don't take that personally. I think I tend to be kinda harsh on my own art. When I submitted the first attack, I saw this really fun clay Furby attack, and when I went to the person's profile I saw that they have a long Furby OC, so I had to draw them, obviously. This was a really silly and fun drawing to make. The artist revenged me the next day by making a clay sculpture of one of my ponies. I just think it's really fun to see attacks that are like crafted goods. Overall, I had a pretty good first day. I got 2 attacks done. Also, Artfight starts at like 8 PM for me. On my second day, I attacked one of my moods, who I had started an art trade with, and then didn't manage to make a drawing before Artfight. Oopsie. We met at a con. They were fursuit of their Sona, and I think the button eyes and stitch details are so cool. Even though Coraline scared the shit out of me when I was a child. Next off, I drew an attack for another friend. I was expecting this to turn out kinda meh, because our Sonas look so different, and their colors don't match at all, but I actually think they look really fun next to each other. He revenged me for this with a Hongshu drawing. It's so cool, I'm still so obsessed with this. You know, sometimes you just have to draw your persona with your friends' personas because you don't have pictures with your friends, so you cope by drawing your personas together. Right, chat? Right, please agree with me. Someone attacked my One Piece Zoro furry fan design, so I had to revenge them, of course. They have this really cool feral monster character. I tried to draw her. It was looking too canine and I wasn't really feeling it, so I started over and drew a portrait of another one of their OCs. And I actually really like how this drawing turned out. I feel like this doesn't super look like my usual furry style, but I can tell that I'm getting more comfortable drawing furries, and I think that's great. After drawing so many furries, I felt like drawing a humanoid character and got really inspired by this character's design. I usually don't really enjoy rendering, but with this I had a lot of fun. I also really like how the composition with the tail turned out. I don't know, I like how the drawing turned out, which doesn't really happen very often. This is also the first attack I marked as polished, and it ended up getting me 69 points, which I just wanted to mention because I thought it was funny. I didn't plan on putting the most time and effort into this drawing, especially because I've been saying that I'm prioritizing moods this outfit, but I don't know, I was just really inspired by the character's design. This is the first year where my attack to defense ratio is under 50%, so on day 4 I also smashed out another revenge. I drew this really fun shark cat OC. I feel like I still kind of struggle with like feral designs. My anatomy always just ends up looking like ponies because that's kind of the only thing I can draw. While working on this, we were watching El Dorado. Honestly, really fun movie, and I managed to watch the movie and finish the whole drawing while doing so. On day 5, I did my first and only traditional drawing of the year. I always feel like my traditional art isn't polished enough, so I don't really post it, like, ever. I lost motivation a bit over the weekend and I was also just busy, and for some reason I just randomly doodled 4 characters I found as emojis. This didn't really have any reason behind it and I just wanted to draw something silly, so I don't know, drew something silly. One of my moods drew my pony OCs drawing each other. I love this so much. Jest's drawing of crayon is everything to me. I want to get better at drawing characters interacting with each other, so I drew 2 of her OCs eating pizza. So I drew 2 of her OCs eating pizza. I felt kind of meh about this the entire time I was working on it, but looking back at it, I like how soft the shading on their faces turned out. Hongshu was pretty popular this year, and I got another attack for him. The artist has a Ram Priest OC who engages in some questionable practices, so of course I had to draw some mild gore for him. I always struggle with drawing blood, so it took me a few tries, and I'm not fully happy with how it turned out, even though I do think the concept for this drawing was really cool, and I love drawing goats and rams and such. I don't know, blood. I'm just really bad at drawing blood. Since I had been on a bit of a revenge streak by this point, I wanted to attack someone from my bookmarks next. And yes, it's another goat. I really love this character's design. Green and pink is like one of my favorite color combos. I think the line art of this goes really hard. I was struggling with the anatomy for a bit, but like, I don't know, all the details in the face, I think this drawing turned out really fun. Another mood of mine drew me in a mass attack with some other people we met at a furry meetup at Dokumi. I love this so much. It's so fun to see all of our personas together after we met in person. As a revenge, I drew his persona. For some reason, at first I thought he was a cat, and then I had to change the sketch a bunch to make it look more canine. Usually Artfight is the time of the year where I try to push myself to draw more furry art, because I'm way more experienced drawing humans, but I think over the past year I've reached a point where I almost draw more furries than humans. To be honest, it's mostly because a lot of my friends and the people who attacked me have only furry OCs, and since I was prioritizing moods and revenges, I just ended up drawing almost exclusively furries. I think it's cool to see how much my furry drawing skills have improved though. For absolutely no reason whatsoever, I decided the next day that I wanted to make an animation icon. Have I ever animated? No. Did I only have one day for this? Yes. I decided to attack my friend Dodo again, just because I felt there was less pressure drawing a friend. I didn't animate this too much, just a simple eye blink, and his braid is kind of like flowing in the wind. I'm aware that you shouldn't render pieces you intend to animate. I basically did multiple versions of the render, so the finished animation looks kind of messy, but like in an intentional way. I don't know, this was a quick way to do it, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I think it's cool for like rushed first try. There's this fan artist I've been following for a while now, mainly for his One Piece fan art, but he just does a lot of cool stuff in general. So when I saw one of his OCs looks pretty similar to my character Vincent, I obviously had to draw them together. For the background, I did some sunset colored clouds, because those are the colors I associate with this artist. Honestly, I feel like this color palette is pretty different from what my art usually looks like, but I really like how the colors came together. And this is another instance of trying to draw some character interactions. I think I did a fairly decent job showing the different personalities in a relatively simple pose. I managed to convince one of my moods to join Artfight for the first time this year. None of you are safe, by the way. And she drew Winston, so of course I had to revenge her. Her little chibi dragon is a very different style of how I usually draw chibis, and I think you can tell in my drawing, but I tried my best to make it work, and I'm happy I made someone else join Artfight and that she enjoyed it. By the way, if you're like a mutual of mine and you want to join Artfight, do it, because I will attack you, and you will get free art from me, so... I have a Zelda Tears of the Kingdom OC. They're like a Zonai who I got exactly one attack for this year. It was the artist's very first ever attack on Artfight, so it made me feel really honored. As a revenge, I drew their Tiger OC. Guys, I really like tigers, if you can't tell from the fact that one of my personal fursuits is a tiger. I should maybe mention that I was working on my Hongshu fursuit throughout July. If you've watched my video on how I made him, most of the sewing and detail work on his face I did during Artfight. So yeah, I don't know how I drew this much, and also finished like most of like a really detailed fursuit head. Next off, I drew another mood. He does very colorful art and uses a lot of similar color palettes to me, but his style is a lot more cartoony than mine, so I could go absolutely ham with this. Does it hurt your eyes to look at this drawing? Because it sure hurt my eyes to draw this, but that was the goal, so I think I succeeded. The mantis OC, I think that's such a cool species. We should all do more bug species furry designs. Thank you very much. My next revenge, I tried to be a bit experimental with the shading, but I don't think it works, and I don't really like how it turned out. Sometimes it's just how it is though. I think you can tell that I was really trying to finish as many pieces as possible, which is why most of my attacks were pretty simple portraits. It's definitely the easiest for me to draw. I do want to get better at like drawing full bodies and dynamic poses and just like anatomy in general, but when I'm in a rush, defaulting to headshots is just the easiest for me. Speaking of full bodies, I made a bookmark folder just for One Piece furry OCs. I didn't get to nearly as many of them as I wanted to, but my next two attacks at least made a little dent in that list. This one's a Corazon Snazu design, which is a furry species I didn't know before this. Instead of arms, they have paws on these like long noodles on the head. I don't know, I think the species is really cute. I really like this design. It's obviously heavily inspired by Corazon from One Piece. I don't think I've ever drawn this many hearts in one illustration. I really enjoy taking characters with cool designs and somewhat muted color palettes and just pushing their colors a bit. Not saying saturated colors are inherently better, it's just what I prefer. And I really enjoy changing characters' colors while still making sure they keep the same vibe and just like color cohesion. So yeah, I think this one turned out really fun. Like I said, my next attack actually this was a revenge, was also One Piece furry design of Katakuri. I love Katakuri so much. If you don't know what he looks like in One Piece, he has this big feather scarf, which in this big fight he pulls off to reveal his big chompers. I thought it was brilliant to turn him into a big cat, and I wanted to reference that scene where he rips off his scarf. And by furifying him, I could put even more emphasis on his big teeth. However, I didn't realize until after I finished the drawing that the person who made this design had turned him into a lion, with the scarf actually being his lion's mane, which is absolutely brilliant, and I feel so stupid for not realizing that. So this drawing basically makes no sense with the design they made for him, but I still like how it turned out, and I think the pose is really fun. And also the like red lighting from behind looks really cool, I think. I don't use red a lot in my art, but I think it really works here. I think after this drawing, I was kind of over Artfight, so the last 4 drawings I made, which is all the revenges I had left. I don't even have the time lapses for these. First, we have a humanoid portrait, which is a revenge for a drawing of both my Zoro and my Sanji furry designs, even though I don't even have my Sanji up on Artfight, so I was really excited to see him included in an attack. Next, I revenged another Hongshu drawing and changed the characters black to purple so I could use my absolute favorite color combo of purple, green and pink. Also, I just never use pure black in my art. I did another pony revenge because I also tagged one of my ponies, and my very last revenge on the last day of Artfight was a character super far out of my usual style, but I think I still managed to pull it off. One of my favorite things about Artfight is drawing characters that I usually would never draw, and trying to somehow translate them into my own art style. It's always a bit of a struggle and a bit of a challenge, but if it works, I think it's really rewarding, and I think you can learn a lot about your own art style, and it's really good practice. And that's it. That's all I drew for Artfight. Overall, I had a really good year. I made 25 drawings in 31 days, which is the most I've ever done. I think the first year I participated in Artfight, I did 13 drawings, and I already thought that was a lot. So I don't know how I made 25 this year. Mind you, I was also working on a fursuit. I'm already super hyped for next year, even though Artfight always burns me out. I never draw nearly as much as I do during July, and while I do commission a lot of art of my characters, it's just super fun to get surprised with basically fan art of your goobers on the daily for like a month. I received so many cool attacks. I'm gonna try to make like a slideshow of all of them. If you attacked me, thank you so much. If you ever drew any of my characters, thank you so much. I genuinely treasure all of the art I have of my characters. I'll get back to making fursuit videos soon, but because of my wrist injury, I haven't even started my next suit, but I have a really cool plan and concept, and just trust, I have such a good vision. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed listening to me yap about Artfight. So yeah, follow me on Artfight to see what I get up to next year. Subscribe to my YouTube to see what I get up to during the rest of the year. And I hope you have a nice day, I guess. I don't know. Peace out.